Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Uzma Shahzad. Today we are going to discuss endometrial carcinoma, one of the gynecological malignancies. Endometrial carcinoma is carcinoma which is affecting most of the developed world, and it's the most common gynecological malignancy. It is affecting different age groups near in the perimenopausal and menopausal ladies, in women from 45 to 49 years of age. It is affecting about 14 per 100,000 of the women, while from 50 to 54 years it is affecting 29 per 100,000 women. Incidence increasing over the years due to increase in obesity, tamoxifen use, and increase in the life expectancy. There are different risk factors that are increasing the chances of development of endometrial carcinoma in women. These include age over 50 years. 80% of the patients who are diagnosed with endometrial carcinoma, they are postmenopausal, while 20% they are premenopausal. Nulliparity, early menarche, and late menopause are risk factors for development of endometrial CA. Other general factors include obesity, diabetes mellitus, polycystic ovarian disease, estrogen producing ovarian tumors. Genetics is also involved in increased risk of developing endometrial carcinoma, with hereditary non-polyposis coli associated with 40 to 60% increased risk, while Lynch type 2 syndrome is associated, and breast and ovarian cancers are associated with increased risk of endometrial carcinoma. Unopposed estrogen exposure in the form of HRT in patients who are not taking progestogens to balance the effects. They are more at risk of developing endometrial carcinoma, and patients with breast cancer who are using tamoxifen as chemotherapy for over 5 years, they are having up to four-fold increased risk. Sedentary lifestyle with high fat and low complex carbohydrate diet, they are associated with increased risk. There are certain factors that are protecting against endometrial carcinoma. These include use of combined oral contraceptive pills, smoking, late age, at last childbirth, and diet with high intake of fruits and vegetables that are containing oxidizing agents, and physical exercise. Pathologically, if we observe this endometrial carcinoma in hysterectomized women, they appear as diffuse polypoidal, localized, or papillary growths. While histologically, there are different types that can be identified. They include the most common is endometrioid adenocarcinoma, occurring in 50 to 60% of the cases. The second most common is papillary serous adenocarcinoma, occurring in 18% of the cases. Others include adenosquamous sarcomas and leiomyosarcomas, carcinosarcoma, and clear cell carcinoma. Now we will discuss these pathological types one by one. First of all is the endometrioid adenocarcinoma. Here the glandular pattern is resembling proliferative phase. Glands are complex cribriform, having well-differentiated secretory, subnuclear vacuolation, and mucinous low-grade prominent intracytoplasmic mucin is present. In adenosquamous type, glandular element predominates, making 70% of the tumor mass rare, diagnosed as such in the absence of cervical involvement. Papillary serous adenocarcinoma, having severe atypia with high mitotic index and predominant myometrial invasion. Clear cell carcinoma, having large clear cells with glycogen forming papillary structure lined by hobnail cells. Endometrial carcinoma can be classified as two types. The type 1 is occurring in the peri and premenopausal women. They are giving history of use of unopposed estrogen. This type is minimally invasive with low-grade endometrioid type, while the type 2 is occurring in the postmenopausal woman, not associated with INC or increased estrogen exposure, and it's a high-grade tumor with poor prognosis. This endometrial cancer has local as well as distant spread. The direct spread is involving the other pelvic structures in the genital tract like cervix and ovaries, while lymphatic spread from the upper part will spread to para-aortic and inguinal lymph nodes, and from the lower and middle part will spread to obturator, external and internal iliac nodes. Blood-borne spread may involve liver, lungs, bone, and brain, while implantation may occur in the vault of the vagina. Clinically, the patients they have symptoms. The most common is abnormal vaginal bleeding that may be in the form of postmenopausal bleeding, intermenstrual, or there is a delayed menopause or menorrhagia. Some patients they come with a vaginal discharge that may be arising from pyometra, and it is in the form of a yellowish discharge, and the pain is a complaint that occurs rarely due to nerve compression or sometimes from uterine overdistension due to pyometra. And on examination, the patient might be showing enlarged lymph nodes in the groin and supraclavicular region. Breast examination is done for any signs of breast lump or previous breast surgery. And pervaginal examination will reveal that the uterus is enlarged, bulky, irregular, firm, soft, and if associated with pyometra. To screen for endometrial cancer, we have to perform endometrial sampling, which can be performed by Pipel, Vebra, and the procedure failure rate here is up to 10%. Cytology is done where pap smear is not a screening test for endometrial cancer, but incidental finding of endometrial cells in the pap smear of postmenopausal women. They require further investigation. Transvaginal ultrasonography in postmenopausal women, if it is showing an endometrial thickness of 5 millimeters or more, has 90% sensitivity and specificity for suggesting endometrial carcinoma. Diagnosis of the condition is made by endometrial biopsy, and then we can work up with transvaginal ultrasonography. Different tumor markers can be performed, and for preoperative staging we can go for chest x-ray, for lungs metastasis, CT scan of the chest in case of carcinosarcoma, and MRI and CT scan of the body involving the abdomen and pelvis in case of papillary serous adenocarcinoma. Cystoscopy is done to rule out local spread into bladder, and sigmoidoscopy for gastrointestinal spread. The disease can be staged preoperatively according to FIGO staging. In stage 1, tumor is limited to the corpus or the body of the uterus, and in stage 1A, it is confined to uterus having less than half of the myometrial invasion, while in stage 1B, tumor is confined to the uterus with more than half of the myometrial invasion. And this stage 1 is giving 80 to 90% survival rate, while the stage 2, here the involvement is spreading to cervix with stromal invasion but not beyond the uterus, and it is giving a survival rate of 60 to 70%. In stage 3, tumor is limited to two pelvis. 3A is involving the serosa and adnexa, while 3B is involving vaginal and parametrial tissues. Stage 3C1 involves pelvic lymph nodes, and 3C2 is involving para-aortic lymph nodes. Stage 4 is involving bladder, rectum or distant sites, and here the survival rate over 5 years is 10 to 20%. In stage 4A, invasion is involving bladder and bowel mucosa, while distant metastases are included in stage 4B. After a complete preoperative workup, when we are planning a management in these patients, we have to take in consideration certain factors that include age of the patient, stage of the disease, grade of the disease, and desires for future fertility and associated risk factors. Different treatment modalities that can be used in cases of endometrial carcinoma They include surgery, radiotherapy, which can be used for local metastasis, while chemotherapy is used for distant metastasis, and hormone therapy is used in the form of high dose progesterone. These are all treatment modalities available. Preoperative evaluation of the patient with endometrial carcinoma involves routine blood tests involving CBC, liver functions, and renal functions, and then chest X-ray and CT scan and MRI of the body involving chest and pelvis. Intravenous urogram is carried out, and tumor markers like CA1 to 5 are done. Anesthesia assessment is done for fitness before going for surgery. In young patients where family is not complete and there is early stage disease like stage 1, different treatment modalities that are conserving the uterus, they include high dose progesterones that are combined with follow-up endometrial biopsy, and if on follow-up there is no lesion, then we can give ovulation induction, complete family as soon as possible, and then go for hysterectomy. While in later stages like stage 1A, where the family is complete, total abdominal hysterectomy with bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy is the answer, while in stage 1B, again the total abdominal hysterectomy with bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy followed by post-operative radiotherapy is the answer in these patients, while in stage 2, radical hysterectomy is carried out with radiotherapy, or sometimes radiotherapy alone is done in inoperable cases. In stage 3, we have to perform CT scan and MRI to stage the disease. If it is restricted to pelvis, then radiotherapy is the mainstay of treatment. If it is extending beyond pelvis, then laparotomy is done with debulking surgery, omentectomy, and radiotherapy. In stage 4, radiotherapy is done and chemotherapy in the form of cyclophosphamide, adriamycin, cisplatin, paclitaxel, and hormone therapy is given in the form of medroxyprogesterone 200 milligrams BD or TDS, or aromatase inhibitors are given, and if possible we can go for debulking surgery in these patients. Follow-up of the patients and involves looking for complications and any recurrences. Wald recurrence occurs within 2 years. It is common, and we have to perform follow-up by vaginal smears. Chest X-ray and transvaginal sonography is done every 3 months. Complications of radiotherapy are patient may experience hematuria, diarrhea, melena, rectal spasm, colitis, vaginal stenosis, and lymphedema. Breast cancer requires follow-up with mammography, and patient is called for these follow-up visits every month for 3 months, and then 6 monthly for 1 year, and then yearly for the rest of the life. This completes endometrial carcinoma, and up till now we have discussed all the endometrial, all the gynecological malignancies, and now we are left only with menopause and hormone replacement therapy that we will be discussing in our next lecture. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.